Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WWE Backlash preview and predictions. Welcome to the greatest preview and predictions ever, using the marketing tactics the WWE's been using lately. Thanks to Abel for that one. We have got 7 matches lined up for this show. Hopefully 2 or 3 of them will be good. I'm not expecting much more. This looks very much like a filler pay-per-view. Not a ton to be excited about here, but there is a lot to talk about, at least. Even if there's not a lot to be excited about, there's still a decent amount to actually talk about, to have discussions about. So, John, tell me how you're feeling, my friend, about the show.
You know what, brother? I just want to say right out the gate, like this pay-per-view with its card is very honest about it being a filler pay-per-view, but I don't hold it against it, you know? Like, I actually like the card structure for the most part, and I especially like the world title matches. So you know what, dude? Like, I'm gonna give it a modest score of, I think, 7.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
I'm looking forward to this enough. And again, I like that it comes by it, honestly, of it being a filler pay-per-view. But I like that because it's a filler pay-per-view, it's doing something different with its title matches. I think we always ask for something different, and I don't think we can bemoan it when it delivers, so long as it does so properly. And I think both world title matches have in their build-up. So, yeah, I'm keeping an open mind to that. And for me to say that about a WWE show, you know, I think, you know, I hope they don't waste my goodwill. We'll see. But yeah, I'd say a 7.5, maybe a 7. I'm hovering around there.
I'm at like a 4.5 for this.
That's closer to where Mark is, and Chiefin said I'm a 1 out of 10. Oh man.
Yeah, so, Chiefin also was just saying in the Discord that he's stopped watching WWE entirely. So.
Okay, well that makes more sense. But I understand all of you guys though, because again, if it's a filler pay-per-view, what is there really to get excited about?
Yeah.
It's just more for me. I like that it took the opportunity to be a bit different. I mean, granted, there are some things we're retreading here to my chagrin, but, you know, looking...
I mean, yeah, I will tell you just straight up front, there are 2 matches on this show that get me even remotely excited at all. And the rest of it is just like, okay, let's just get past this, please.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about it, man. Let's get into this.
Well, actually, you know what? 2 matches that get me excited. 1 match that I'm kind of intrigued about, but also getting a little sick of already, even though it's just something that we've gotten a few times over the last couple of months. But we'll get to that soon enough. Let's start with the 1 match on this card that really does feel like it could have happened on a SmackDown. It really feels like they've been doing a really good job of telling this story, but it doesn't feel like the kind of story that really needs pay-per-view in order to kind of have that climax. And even if it would need a pay-per-view for a climax, this doesn't feel like a climax by any means. This feels like it's going to be the first of a series of matches. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. You know, we've had the whole thing where Sheamus basically tried to frame Jeff for drunk driving and hitting Elias. Elias, we know, is out with a torn pec. They also added in that he has broken ribs. That was probably to kind of sell the trauma of what would have been a car wreck if it was a real thing, you know, in kayfabe. But at the end of the day, as well as they're doing with this feud, I just don't give a shit, because I know that all it's going to do is lead to 2 40-plus-year-old dudes in the ring. That is not going to excite me at all.
Completely understandable. I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I see Jeff Hardy winning. I've already kind of mentioned how leveraging his problems with addiction in this angle on catch-up commentary has made me uncomfortable. But yeah. I do see Jeff Hardy winning this, and I could honestly see him and AJ as kind of a mini summer program for the IC title, given that we know that AJ did win the Intercontinental Championship tonight. So
honestly, dude, I think you might be rushing it a little bit. I think the WWE is going to let this feud simmer. I think that this feud could last all the way up until SummerSlam and maybe culminate at SummerSlam with like a TLC match or something of the like. So I'm going to say that Sheamus wins the battle on this show, but I have Jeff winning the war, and maybe he'll get an IC title shot after SummerSlam, after he beats Sheamus in like a big blow-off match.
Understandable. Yeah, I'm going to stick with Jeff, but I totally see where you're coming from. Let's get to the next match.
Next up, let's talk about the only other match on this show with no title involved, and it is probably the one match that they want to sell you on the most for this show for whatever fucking reason. Edge versus Randy Orton in A wrestling match.
Yeah, again, keeping it short and sweet, Edge is winning. I think the big story for me personally in this match is how is Edge going to look bell to bell in an actual match? How quickly is he going to get blown up? You know, how will he be able to, like, bump? You know, questions like that. I'm really curious to see how Edge performs on those metrics.
Here's my concern, though, dude. The WWE obviously sees money in this feud. They love this feud. They probably want to keep it going. Edge beat Orton at Mania.
True.
I think Orton's going to win this so that we get the Edge questioning, do I really still got it? And he has to prove it by beating Orton a second time in a rubber match at a future pay-per-view. Probably Extreme Rules, but I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that.
Honestly, dude, the way that they've been pushing this particular match, I could see them dragging this out all the way to, like, September. Like, I could legitimately see them being like, you know what, fuck it, best of 5, rather than just best of 3 like they usually do, because they love this shit. They've been pushing the hell out of it, and I don't know if it's affecting ratings at all, but, you know, I don't think it really fucking matters, because they push the hell out of Charlotte, and she just drives ratings into the fucking ground. So I think that Vince is going to do what Vince wants, and right now Vince is in love with this feud. He sees so much behind this. He's putting so much behind this. I'm just going to pick Orton because I expect him to win so that they continue the feud.
You know, I'm tempted to change my pick, and I don't want to do the whole bit because, one, you are making a lot of sense, but two, Drew McIntyre actually said in an interview today that he would love for Orton to be a SummerSlam opponent. And I feel like Orton's one of those guys that you always keep you always kind of keep him on a simmer, you know what I mean? And then you kind of turn up the heat when you want him to be a big-time contender or something.
Yeah.
So even if Edge won the series, which I would fully expect him to, WWE has never cared about that. They could make Orton the next night the contender, but they might want to let him get, like, a big win first to be like, oh, but, you know, he beat a returning Edge, so McIntyre needs to watch himself. So I think tentatively I'm going to switch my pick to Orton. But yeah. I wanted to.
And honestly, this is the one time that I'm not even worried about it. I'm that confident that Orton's winning this because I also just remembered Edge eliminated Orton from the Rumble, too. Orton has yet to get a true leg up in this feud.
True. Yeah, given all that, I'll switch my pick to Orton. But again, I only really believed Edge because I feel like the question's really about him. And if he doesn't prove himself here, I don't know. But again, I could totally see your logic so much so that I'm gonna switch sides here. We'll go with Orton.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where they're trying to build it up like, oh, Edge has to win this match or he's not a good wrestler anymore. But I think just being a reasonable human being, we'll be able to see, obviously he is still a good wrestler and, you know, he's just, you know, they're gonna eventually have him beat Orton clean again and already done it in, you know, the WrestleMania match. I don't know. I think Orton's winning this. I think they're continuing the feud. I think that we'll probably see this match at least one more time, if not 2 or 3 more times. So I'm going to just move on from that. Up next, let's talk about the United States Championship. Apollo Crews, first time he's ever won any kind of gold in the WWE. United States Champion defending against the man that he beat for the title, Andrade.
I think it should be a solid in-ring matchup, but I see Apollo retaining because I think the big program for Apollo is with Kevin Owens that may even dovetail into an Apollo heel turn. So I'm going to go with Apollo retaining here.
Low-key, I had Apollo winning for my own reasons. I actually thought that it would be interesting if he could beat Andrade, but then couldn't beat Angel Garza, and Angel Garza was the next U.S. champ. But that works too. Either way, I think that there's too many possibilities for Apollo as champion to put it right back on Andrade when Andrade just had that long reign, and it feels like he was kind of out of contenders. So I agree. Apollo Crews retains, and now let's move on to our next match, which is going to be Asuka, Raw Women's Champion, versus Nia Jax. For the love of all that is decent, fucking please let Asuka retain here.
Dude, I'm honestly really confident that she will because I think WWE telegraphed that their big story for Asuka, or their big idea for Asuka, is a major program with Charlotte that will probably go into SummerSlam.
Oh, God.
And
does anybody really want that either, though? Because I know I sure as shit don't.
I mean, here's the thing, brother. Just to kind of put my piece out there, I'm going to invoke my love of fuck, like you just did for Asuka retaining here. Please, for the love of fuck, have Asuka finally beat fucking Charlotte. I'm sick of Charlotte having her fucking number.
And I was even going to say, beating her one time isn't enough, because if you have her beat her once and then lose the title to her at all, I'm going to be pissed. Have Asuka successfully survive a feud with Charlotte and come out on the other side still Raw Women's Champion and be able to move on to somebody the fuck else, please.
Yeah, seriously. Please, for the love of fuck. So yeah, I'm just gonna go Asuka retains here. I do not give a single fuck about this match. I don't think Nia Asuka matches have been horrible in the past, only because Asuka's that fucking good of a ring general. But I'm still not expecting like a classic here,
Dude, even if Asuka beats Charlotte here, Charlotte beats Asuka at Extreme Rules, and then Asuka beats Charlotte for the title right back at SummerSlam, and she moves the fuck on, that's my whole thing. You could put the title on Charlotte for a week or a month, but don't give her a long reign. Give it right back to Asuka and let Asuka have other goddamn feuds with somebody that isn't a shitter. Please, let her feud with Ruby. Let her feud if Ember's back by the time we get past SummerSlam. Let her feud with Ember. Let her feud with Liv, for fuck's sakes. Give me new, please. Hell, call up Rhea and have her be the one to feud for it. Like, I'm so sick of Charlotte being in everything.
Yeah, I'm really getting tired of it too, dude. And, not to bring her into this, but, I'm pretty fucking sure Becky vouched for Asuka backstage before she went on maternity leave, and I think she would fucking hate to see Asuka's reign just like that end so quickly. Like, give Asuka a fucking run. She's been putting her back into all these quarantine shows.
Yeah.
I think she deserves a lengthy run as champion. Her SmackDown Women's title reigns, I'm sorry, and I love Asuka. This is not me coming at Asuka. This is me coming at Asuka's booking. Big difference. But I think her SmackDown Women's title reigns have been a fucking joke. I want her to have a real, legit women's championship reign, which I guess you could argue she already did with the NXT women's title, but I want us to replicate that magic on the main fucking roster.
Yeah.
So get past Nia, get past fucking Charlotte, and honestly, dude, like, I hear you on being okay with hot potato so long as Asuka wins in the end, but I honestly hope they don't even do her that dirty. Just have her beat fucking Charlotte, move the fuck on. It's not.
Dude, I think in a perfect world, which is exactly why I don't expect any of this to actually happen, but in my mind, in a perfect world, Asuka would have a 3 pay-per-view program with Charlotte just to get it out of their fucking systems. She would lose the first match to Charlotte. Charlotte would get the title at Extreme Rules, and it would be in like a no rules kind of match, so that you could even say like, oh, Charlotte didn't out wrestle Asuka, she just outfought Asuka. SummerSlam, we have a straight-up one-on-one match, which Asuka wins. Then in September, we have a rematch, because obviously Charlotte's coming fresh off a title reign, so yeah, she get a rematch. Asuka beats her again there, so 2 pay-per-views in a row, and then she moves on. And at some point over the winter, whether it's in December or around the Rumble, Asuka turns heel, leading to an Asuka defending the title against Kairi match at Mania. I don't even need Kairi to win the Rumble. That, to me, is an absolute perfect world right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree.
So,
all
right. Next up, let's talk about the Women's Tag Team Championship triple threat. We've got Bayley and Sasha Banks, the current champs, versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, the former champs, versus the IIconics.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be honest. I'm low-key a little torn about this match, and I'll tell you why. On one hand, and I think we kind of talked about this on a catch-up commentary. In fact, I'm like 95% sure we did. Where I said WWE has given themselves a perfect out if they want to wait for crowds to come back before they really pull the trigger on Sasha Bayley, and that's just by giving them a nice title reign with the tag titles. Maybe you show tension here and there just a little bit. You don't overly like neon flashing lights. You keep it subtle, and then when crowds come back, you take the titles off of them maybe a month or 2 after, so you don't make it super obvious. And, and then you just dovetail right into the feud. So I do stand by that logic on one hand, but on the other hand, and you know this to be true, because we say this, I feel like, every preview predictions, it's WWE. They will always go with the worst option, the least logical, however you want to say it. So the least logical would be this title reign was only a transitional reign. It was more of a narrative tool than an actual reign to be established by Bayley and Sasha to get them to feud for each other or with each other for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So I'm torn between those two camps. However, I don't want to make this needlessly complicated. I am going to go with the former camp, the idea that they are going to use these tag titles as a tool to kind of stave off these quarantine shows so that they can save the actual feud for big crowds. Yep. So I'm going to say Boss and Hug retain.
Completely agree, dude. Completely.
Yeah.
Because I have this image in my mind. Bayley and Sasha are like this amazing heel team. They're killing it. They've got, Bayley's cutting these amazing heel promos. They're putting in the work in the ring. They're doing great. And it has to, the turn, because it's not going to be a heel turn. It's going to be a face turn. Sasha's going to turn face by beating the fuck out of Bayley. The same way that Bayley beat the shit out of Sasha that one time. And when she said, "You ain't shit," that one time, I don't know how long ago that was, but the crowd lost their shit for it. We need a crowd in the building when that happens. We need to hear the pop, the reaction when Sasha finally has enough of Bayley's shit and snaps on her. That is a moment that you cannot have without a crowd. So for that reason, I'm 100% on the same page, same wavelength as you. Sasha and Bayley have to retain here.
All right, next matchup.
Next up, I think up next, we've got a world title match, right? Yeah. Braun Strowman defending the WWE, the Universal Championship, actually, in a 2-on-1 handicap match against The Miz and John Morrison. God, I would love to be able to sit here and say with a straight face that we are going to have new dual co-Universal Champions, but this really just comes off to me as WWE wanting to really kind of pad out Braun's reign and make him look super legit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, I love Jomo to fucking death. I mean, if anything's well documented on this fucking podcast, it's that. However, this is a quintessential filler feud. Like, let's not mistake it for anything what it is. Now, I will say, in spite of that, I do think the build has been creative with these guys trying to get under Braun's skin. An angry monster is a sloppy monster kind of thing. It's a unique build to a world title match. However, I totally see Braun winning because I think Endgame is Braun Fiend for SummerSlam. They're going to keep padding out stuff for Braun until the Fiend
dude, and
emerges.
the really interesting thing about that, too, is that if they do Braun Fiend and say Braun wins, right? Braun beats the Fiend by the skin of his teeth. We have seen plenty of examples in the last year of the Fiend getting beaten in the sense that he loses a match. Like, he doesn't literally get the shit beat out of him by any means because he just no-sells everything. But losing a match and then the person that beats them kind of coming back around and like hovering a little too long and Fiend just beats the shit out of him. I think there is a very distinct possibility that could happen at SummerSlam, like you said, where we get the match, Braun retains successfully, the Fiend beats the shit out of Braun because Braun's like hovering, staying around a little too long, and then we get a cash in from Otis.
Ooh, yeah, because I have to remember Otis has the briefcase.
Yeah.
So, man, I really got to give SmackDown credit for that, man. That was a bold fucking choice, and it's definitely interesting. But yeah, I definitely think Fiend's endgame. I don't know if Fiend's going to retain or not. We'll have to cross that bridge when we come to the pay-per-view that's actually showcasing that match. But yeah, Braun's totally winning here. No question about it.
All right, and we finally get to our main event, and it is a very intriguing main event to say the least. We've got Drew McIntyre, the freshly crowned face of the company, the WWE champion, man that eliminated the Beast at the Royal Rumble and then beat him at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship, defending against Bobby Lashley. Now it's not just Bobby Lashley though. Bobby Lashley managed by MVP, maybe even possibly with a little bit of help at ringside. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I have a weird feeling about this. Before I actually say anything, I want you to talk.
I really like this match, honestly. Yeah. I think when Bobby is heel and he's, like, serious, the last time we really saw that was his feud with Braun, which I really liked. I think it was one of the better feuds that both guys had in a while. It was just a good hoss fight. And, yeah, I like this iteration of Lashley. I like this program. It's a more inspired contender, and that's why I cut Backlash a lot of slack.
Honestly, dude, I think other than the Kabuki Warriors, this has been the best thing going on Raw lately for me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would say Kabuki Warriors and Aleister Black, but he hasn't been getting used as heavily lately, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, dude, And here's my thing when it comes to my prediction, just so I can hand the ball over to you. I do believe that this is going to be a multi-pay-per-view program. So I'm like, okay, how do you protect Lashley? Because I don't see Drew dropping the title. So I think the finish is going to be, right, Lashley and MVP, they're doing great. Lashley seems to have an answer for everything Drew does. All of a sudden, who comes out? Fucking Lana. She's going to start arguing with MVP about bullshit because she's been crazy the last few weeks and really cringy at that.
Last few months.
But I'm specifically in this feud, what I wanted to emphasize.
Right.
But yeah, Lashley's going to look over. He's going to be like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell's going on? Bam, Claymore Drew wins. But it was only because Lashley was distracted. Next night on Raw, he formally declares he wants to divorce Lana. She cost him the WWE Championship. She was the reason he lost. If it was just him and MVP, he'd be the new champion. And then maybe he has to go through a number one contender match. I don't know. Yep. But he more or less says, Drew, if it wasn't for my now ex-wife, you wouldn't be champion right now. Yep. That's how we get a rematch. And honestly, I love Drew as champion, but he doesn't really need the title at this point. I would give Lashley a short reign because if he wants to face Lesnar, you could do fucking Lashley beating Drew at Extreme Rules, then Lashley Lesnar at SummerSlam. Unfortunately, I would have Lesnar beat Lashley so that you could do the hype Drew Lesnar rematch, but then Drew would beat Lesnar again. Like, I would have it where Drew has Lesnar's number. I want people to know that he owns Brock Lesnar. So that's the only way I'd be cool with Drew dropping the title temporarily, is if he could win it back in really dominant fashion against Brock.
Well, and if it also would mean that we would get that Lesnar-Lashley match that we've all been talking about for so long, pretty much since Lashley showed back up.
Precisely. So Drew wins at Backlash, Lashley wins at Extreme Rules, Brock wins at SummerSlam, Drew wins, I guess, at Clash of Champions or whatever the pay-per-view is after that.
I don't know, dude. That's a lot of hot potato for the Universal title, or for the WWE title. I feel like if Lashley would win it and then drop it to Brock, Brock would just go on another monster run with it.
I'm not so convinced about that. We'll see. We'll see.
I tell you what, man. I tell you what. I liked everything that you said up until let's put the title on Lashley and then Brock and then back to Drew over the course of a few months. Everything up until that I loved. And you honestly kind of talked me off the edge. I was really genuinely thinking about picking Lashley to win right here. And it's still kind of in the back of my mind that, like, I'm going to regret not doing it. But you kind of talked me off the edge. I think you've probably got a point that Lana is kind of a dangling thread that they need to get rid of. And I think that the only way that you do that is by fully addressing it after she fully screws Lashley out of the title. And I think that that's exactly what's going to happen. I fully agree with you on that. Thank you very much for putting that in my head because I didn't have it in there before. I wasn't even thinking about Lana, so thank you again. And because of all that, I am picking Drew to retain. And I'm honestly going to guess, though, that here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing that's different between us. I think that we are going to get Drew versus Lashley again at Extreme Rules, but I think Drew's going to retain again. And Lashley's not going to have any excuses, and he's going to get relegated, and maybe even become a challenger for the United States Championship around SummerSlam time. So that's where my mind is, while Drew handles Brock again and hopefully beats him again at SummerSlam.
Yeah, because here's the thing, dude. I do believe, no matter how you get there, I do believe we're doing Drew Brock 2 in a couple months.
Yeah.
I think that's inevitable. And, you know, if the road we take to get there is less convoluted, fine by me. I'm loving Drew as champion. The stronger the reign, the more impressive it's going to be when he finally drops it to whoever he drops it to. Please, Aleister Black or Andrade. Please, Aleister Black or Andrade. So, yeah. I mean, but I'm intrigued by this program, man. I see now. This is somebody I like. That Backlash has kind of become a pay-per-view where you get interesting contenders for the WWE title. I mean, it was where AJ Styles won his first WWE championship. Jinder Mahal got crowned at Backlash, Mahal. And now Lashley.
Fucking Mahal. Yeah. We didn't have a Backlash last year, interestingly enough.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good point. But yeah, I just love that it's become kind of that experimental pay-per-view with, like, who have we never really put in the WWE title picture, like, hard? And Lashley's only ever gotten, like, I think 2 other shots at it. One was a six-pack challenge, and then the other one was the 2007 Great American Bash main event against Cena, where he was, like, the big prospect at the time but couldn't close. So, yeah. And so we'll just see how it goes. But I am genuinely excited for this match. Certainly a lot more than I was for fucking Mahal Orton when that happened, that one Backlash. So let's hope for something good.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Backlash got brought back in 2016. It only lasted 3 years. It went away in 2019, and now it's back. So we've had a Backlash for the last 5 years, but prior to 2016, there were no Backlashes going all the way back until 2009. So Backlash, you know, we've only had Backlashes 3 of the last 4 years, but on 2 of those 3 shows, we've had big-time title changes. Not even in the main event necessarily, but were they both in the main event? Okay. Both in the main event. So yeah, big time title changes in the main event. 2 of the last 3 Backlash pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Now that's too small of a sample size for me to be going and try and change my mind, but it is still an interesting little thing. And again, I'm already a little paranoid that they're going to put the title on Lashley here. So we'll see. We're both picking Drew though to retain, correct?
That's correct. Yes.
All right. That wraps it up. That's everything. That's all we've got. That's our final match. Just to kind of recap everything, as far as, you know, the predictions that we made, I have got, or actually I think we both picked Sheamus I picked Sheamus, you picked Jeff, didn't you?
Yes.
And then I picked Orton, you picked Edge, or did you flip?
I flipped, so I joined you on Orton.
Okay, so I got Sheamus, you got Jeff, we both picked Orton, we both picked Cruz to retain, we both picked Asuka to retain. We both picked Sasha and Bayley to retain. We both picked Strowman to retain. And we both picked McIntyre to retain. So no title changes on this show. The only match that we really disagree on is Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus, which is also like the least meaningful match on this show. It's like the least, you know, impactful match on the show as far as like the grand scheme of things. So at the end of the day, we have one disagreement. No title changes, unfortunately, as far as our predictions go. And as far as hype level, have you changed it all, or are you still standing strong at a 7.5, my friend?
I think, you know, honestly, the main event is really driving my hype. I think I'll go down a bit to a 7, but I really like the idea of McIntyre versus Lashley, dude. I can't lie about that. So I think 7 is respectable. I'll go to a 7. Yeah.
I'm still a little low, but maybe I got brought up to like a 5.
There you go.
Because I think I said I was at like a 4.5 to start, right?
Yes.
So yeah, we'll say 5, maybe 5.5. But at the end of the day, the matches that I am genuinely excited about are, as you've just mentioned, Drew versus Lashley, the women's tag title triple threat, and somewhat Apollo Andrade. But again, I feel like we've seen that a lot over the last few months, so I'm not as excited for it. So hope that you all enjoyed. John, any final words before we close out?
No, just guys, be good to yourselves and each other. Keep staying safe out there, and I hope to see you all tomorrow for our New Japan Cup bracket breakdown. That's going to be amazing. So, good stuff.
Absolutely. Dude, I'm so excited for that. Did you fill in your bracket yet?
Not yet, but I will before we go live with it.
Bro, yeah. I filled it in like the night of. I'm so...
Yeah, no, you're so hyped about this, dude. That's amazing.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you all enjoyed the preview and predictions to Backlash 2020. If you have predictions of your own, please remember to put them down in the comments after this video is fully processed. We hope that you all enjoyed. If you did, remember to like the video. Please also remember to subscribe if you haven't already. You can also click the bell icon to join the notification squad. Follow us on Twitter and on Twitch. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can subscribe on Twitch, as well as buying our merch on Teespring, donating to our Patreon, and sharing this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends, and letting them in on the best-kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. That's right, we are TwitWow, and we are the workhorses of the YNTWCs. We hope that you're all looking forward to Backlash. I know that we've at least somewhat managed to get, a little bit excited for it. And then tomorrow night, we do have our preview and predictions to the New Japan Cup 2020, which is still on, baby. Starts on Tuesday, but New Japan does have a show on Monday that we will also live react to. So just to give you guys the next week worth of schedule, tomorrow we do have our preview predictions to the New Japan Cup. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Then on Sunday at 7, we also obviously have Backlash live reactions. Monday at noon, we will be getting on here to live react to New Japan's show that they have on Monday at 6 a.m. Obviously, we can't live react to it while it happens, but we'll hop on here at noon, live react to it then. Then on Tuesday, we will be live reacting to the first day of the first round of the New Japan Cup. Wednesday, we've got a double header because we will be live reacting to the second day of the first round of the New Japan Cup at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, at 8, we will also be live reacting to NXT. Friday, we will be doing a catch-up commentary covering... Actually, I think that's wrong. I should probably move that back a week. I should probably move that to the 26th so that it at least covers 2 weeks. So I'm going to do that then. So nothing then after NXT this coming week until we get to the following Monday and we get more New Japan stuff. So that's the next 5 days, actually. That's the next 5 days. And then we've got like a 4-day break, and then we're going to start it all over again with like a 5-day streak of commentaries every day again. The workhorses are back, baby. New Japan has been blessed upon us. New Japan has been gifted back to us. It's back in our lives, and it is amazing. I'm so happy to have New Japan again. I'm so stoked for some of these New Japan Cup first-round matches, and even more stoked for some of the potential second-round matches. We hope that you're all looking forward to that. We hope that you're all looking forward to Backlash, and we hope that you're all able to remember to stay tuned.